Today we're talking with James Rose, the creator of content Snare and everything from agency life to product development, and how he has pivoted and really responded to what his clients' needs are. Let's dive in with James.
Welcome to the Happy Clients Podcast, brought to you by Dot & Company. Whether you're a virtual assistant, an agency owner, or a client-facing account manager, we all deal with clients. Lucky for you, client management is what we do best. Now, let's dig in, chat cam life, and have some fun along the way. Cheers to Happy Clients.
Tell us, James, obviously tell us about you, but tell us about agency life and how you kind of wound up to wind down. Is that a saying?
Yeah, so I mean, we only started an agency because everyone asked us about websites. I think there's like a common theme among people who start agencies that they kind of fall into it by accident. But we had a software business starting in like 2010 and never really networked in real life because we didn't have to, right? It was an online business. And then as soon as we networked and told people that we were in software, I guess people don't really fully understand tech because they just go, oh, so you build websites? And we'd be like, no. And then they'd complain about their web designers and their agencies to us for no reason, unprovoked. And then we were just like, why is everyone mad at their web designers? We've been building websites for years. Why don't we do that? So that's how we got into agency life. And I guess the reason we eventually wound out of it is because we I guess realized it's not really for us and we like software. It's getting back to our roots, and essentially like we've come full circle. We started with software, made this agency. It was, I guess, fun in a lot of ways and it opened up a lot of opportunities, but I guess, I don't know, I stressed too much and trying to make like clients happy. And I was like that guy that didn't want to charge too much as well. And so that's a recipe for failure, I feel.
Love it. Yeah. When you say we, you have a business partner.
I do, yeah. Our team now is about 7, 8, I think. It's gone up and down a bit because as we were at peak agency, we were doing like pretty full-on software development and had almost 20 at one point.
Wow, cool. So when it comes to running this agency and having all these clients, how is your team structured in the agency to ensure clients' happiness, but project management, like what were the roles kind of in the agency?
It was pretty basic. I'll just sort of split this up because we kind of had 2 agencies almost going at once. Like I was handling websites and marketing and my business partner was handling software development. On my side, it was pretty much just one account manager, I guess you would call them, who handled all like, because it was the volume wasn't really enough to need like a separate project and account manager. So we actually rolled them into one, which I don't know, you guys might say is a no. I'm not sure how.
Oh no, we love that. We do both.
Efficiency, that's our claim to fame.
Yeah. And so she would pretty much just handle incoming requests and route them to developers or designers, whoever was needed, and then manage the communication. And I think the hardest part, which I know you guys talk about, was getting me out of that equation. Because at the start, when we first brought on the account manager, you know, I had so many clients that would come to me instead of, we had like a generic address, like help at or something, which was, I always tried to encourage them, this is the easiest way, the fastest way you'll get help, but they'd still email me or call me when I was like drunk in Las Vegas one weekend.
That's a great segue too, because I always ask when I'm hiring, like a lot of agency owners definitely think of their agency as almost, you know, like a child, their baby, so they say, and they are, I think it's one of 2 ways. Kind of sounds like there's one, maybe like you, James, who's like so prepared to like, here, go take all the clients. And then there's other ones that get a little bit, I guess, protective. But how did you know that you were totally into somebody taking over your clients for you?
Mostly just protection of my own sanity.
Love that.
Yeah, like I think every agency owner can relate to just how much of a, like it's brutal when you've got clients coming to you and your inbox is just overflowing, and then at some point you're just not getting back to clients fast enough, and it's not good for your clients for them to be contacting you because you've got so much on your plate that you just can't reasonably get back to everyone fast enough. So that was the big thing for me, like putting someone else on whose role it was to monitor client requests and get back to them immediately, even just to acknowledge that we've got their request. Even things like we had downtime monitoring on all our clients' sites, and so usually we'd know before they did. So she would notice it in the alerts channel in Slack and tell our developers, and they'd fix it, and we'd tell them we'd fixed it before the client even knew that their site was down. And if I was the bottleneck in that would have happened.
Yep, that is literally bang on word for word exactly what we would tell an agency owner. It's like you're drowning in emails, nothing's happening. Like, sound familiar? Bam.
Yeah, and it's not a good experience for clients, right? I think that was the thing that eventually got them all to finally stop emailing me and email the team directly, is just when they realized they could get a faster, better response out of them. And I'm not going to lie, I don't know, this could be a huge no for you guys, but sometimes even when I saw their email, I'd intentionally delay replying so they knew that it was just so I could be like, oh, sorry, if you had emailed the other person, you would have got a response faster. I know that's probably real bad, but it's
training your clients.
Yes, it's literally
it's good.
But you had someone in place too, which is like the key thing here. If you're an agency owner and you're just ignoring your clients, that's one thing. But if you have someone who actually is probably going to respond.
Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting because I feel like by forwarding, like if they keep emailing me and then I forward the request to the team and then it comes back from the team later, it's almost just like promoting that behavior. Or maybe they don't understand it's not the right way of doing things, because it's pretty easy to fall into a habit, right? Like, oh, I need something done on my website, I just email the same person as last time. And so it was kind of a habit breaking thing more than anything. And it didn't take long. It was probably literally 2 months. Everyone was now emailing the team directly instead of me.
Yeah, I love that. And I think that's so important to remember as agency owners, is that just because a client is emailing you doesn't mean that they'll only email you. It's just a habit. And you can train clients, like you said, to go to different people or to act differently. I mean, some do, some don't. But we always, as agency owners, think like, oh, they're emailing me, they're only going to want to work with me, or I'm the only contact. But it's not really the case. You can just divert them to other people.
It is so funny that you say training your clients, because I've always felt really weird saying that, because it's almost the same way you train a dog. It's like rewarding positive behavior. And to like, when I first drew that comparison in my mind, I was like, oh, that's awful. It's like training your clients like dogs, but it is a similar process.
Yeah.
And for clients to think too, like they don't always understand the whole entire scope of an agency owner, right? Like they don't, they think they're the only ones. They think that they're paying the most money and they're the most, which is what we want, but also to support them.
Yeah. Making them feel like the only one, like that's a big thing. Like I still, even though I've been an agency owner, we hired an agency recently and I'm like, I want to feel like the only one. It's like our criteria. I'm like, why is my brain doing this, even though I know it's not like that?
We all do. So James, I know you spoke about shutting down your agency, not only for your sanity, but just kind of how your agency has evolved. So walk us through what the agency was like when you were running it versus what your ideal lifestyle is like inside of the business.
I really value flexibility. It's one of my biggest things. I like to be able to work when I want and sort of not have to answer to people. I mean, that's like literally the whole reason I got into business. And I remember being like, I don't want to work with and for unsavory people. That was why I left my job. I was going to swear then, but I wasn't sure what your swearing policy was on the podcast. Like I just got sick of working for certain people and having to get up to an alarm clock. And so then to end up back in this like cycle where I was kind of answering to people a lot. I mean, that's probably a testament to like me not running the agency like as well as I should have. But that was the main reason. I really value flexibility, and I don't know, like the many to one thing gels better with me. So like, that's why I've got a course now and a software product, because like I really enjoy creating something for a lot of people rather than, I guess, the one-on-one stuff. So it was just me, like more than anything. And my business partner is fairly similar. And most of our best projects were actually the ones we like the most were like super hands-off, which is kind of funny because I mean, we still have one of our biggest projects, a software development project, where we brought our clients directly into the project management system and taught them how to like make good requests and for our developers. So we had this like system where they were working directly with the developers and like the communication was just there. And it was just hands off, and that project basically ran itself by then, which is crazy. We just had to monitor the right amount of work was being done. And I don't know, that's maybe something we can talk about too, because we had a few projects like that and they were amazing. But
I want to talk about
we also had plenty that failed. But yeah, so that kind of made it obvious to me that hands off is kind of what we value most. And just me and my business partner, Mark, that's why we ended up back in software and slowly winding down the agency.
Love it.
That was my question too, just how it's kind of evolved from maybe entrepreneur software guy to agency owner to now this whole other piece of the puzzle, which is actually really cool. And we should touch on all those things that you're doing now, James. What does, I guess, the day-to-day look like for you? What are you working on?
I'd like to say 100% my product and software, because like many business owners, I tend to do too many things. It's classic shiny object syndrome. I've been really trying to be more diligent on stripping away the things I don't need to focus on. So right now it's all Content Snare, which is our software product for collecting information and website content from clients. I'm basically marketing. So my business partner handles dev. He's like lead dev and manages the dev team. And for me, it's mostly like a lot of online networking, whether that's interviews, running my own podcast, just, meeting people. That obviously leads to partnerships, because partnerships are just like key to everything. I mean, that was how our agency grew as well. Key partnerships. That's a big part of my role. Managing content writers. I'm essentially a marketing manager plus a little bit of products. Like they run, if there's a new feature they want to build, like I might raise the idea, and then when they design something, I go, I don't like it, and have no real constructive additions. So that's a lie. I try to, help design new features and marketing, which sounds like I'm doing too much when I say it out loud.
Yeah. Classic, right? Agency owner, business owner. You're just got your hands tied. So let's talk about the product, because a lot of the agency owners that we work with or that listen to our podcast definitely are in this space of collecting information for clients. So how did this idea come to life, and walk us through what this product is good for?
Interestingly, it wasn't even my idea. Not really. I just interviewed a bunch of agencies and asked them what their biggest problem was. I had this idea of this briefing tool that I wanted to build to make it really easy to do that initial creative brief stage and understand what a client wants out of the project. It was going to be like I almost had like this Tinder idea for like designs and stuff, so they could auto select what kind of stuff they liked. I spoke to a bunch of agencies, and I guess the software startup playbook, when you're interviewing potential clients, you don't want to inject your idea into like the conversation. You just kind of want to ask what their biggest problems are. And I'd get people to step through from the beginning of a project when they're prospecting and getting new clients on board through to handover. And pretty much every single one of them, I had 15 conversations, 15, 20, and almost every single one of them focused on getting content as their biggest roadblock. So whether that was for e-commerce, so they need like 1,000 products information like in a spreadsheet or something, whether it's like images, whether it's actual website copy, whether it's like getting them to fill out a lengthy questionnaire, all these kind of things are assets for marketing campaigns. Whenever you're waiting for a client, it's just a waste, right? I learned about the 8 wastes of lean methodology recently, and one of them is waiting. So like waiting, people are just stuck waiting for information, or like another one of them is ineffective use of people's hours. So you've got like an account manager or like someone, you're probably paying pretty well, just sending emails and chasing clients for information. It's just like poor use of time. That is how the idea came about. Once everyone was talking about content, I was like, well, we got to build something to fix this, because it's obviously a problem in our agency as well. That's how it started.
Tell us what Content Snare does and how agencies can use it.
Yeah. So, I mean, given that I'm talking to agencies, it's probably easier to explain the actual, like what it is. Imagine it's like a forms tool where you've got like pages, a bit more structure than a classic forms tool. So you can lay it out into pages and sections within each page, and then it auto saves. So it's kind of like a form meets a Google Doc. So everything they type in is saved automatically, but there's structure to it, unlike a Google Doc, which is they can just add things everywhere. Because that was a big problem in our business, is like you give a client a Google document to type into, that's going to come back a mess no matter what. No matter what instructions you give them. And then it sends automatic reminders to make sure they're on top of it, and you don't have to chase clients, and you don't have to risk sounding like you're pestering them. So you just let the app do it. That's essentially what it does. It helps people get information from clients, usually content or images for agencies. It helps them get information from clients faster. And the big part of it which we've learned over time, is making it insanely easy for clients,
Mm.
because that's the biggest thing. If a process is even slightly difficult for a client, they're just going to not do it. It just, anything that's hard goes to the bottom of the pile.
100%.
So that's what
We know
we
it.
tried to make it incremental and easy.
I love that. Katie, I know you're already thinking about all the agencies that need this.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I know, what a great tool. And sometimes there are people, sometimes client account managers, chasing those pieces. I feel like I'm doing it right now, and just like keeping a pulse on things. So it definitely sounds like a really awesome tool, Content Snare, and I think it could be super useful for a ton of people listening.
I wonder, although with your daily pulse, like, I imagine that would be, you're not going to risk sounding like you're pestering, because you're just sending your daily pulse anyway and being like, hey, we still need that thing. Hey, we still need that thing.
Hey, here's your link. This should only take 5 minutes. Yeah, very cool. So James, what's next? What's next for you and your business, and where this is going?
Yeah, I was going to say like more of the same, but interestingly, it's becoming really popular with other industries. Accountants are like the new thing we're focusing on. So accountants, turns out lots of anyone with clients also has a problem with chasing clients for information. It's basically universal if you have clients and need information from them. So accountants and lawyers and like financial planners and mortgage brokers are kind of the ones that we're seeing a lot of sign up. So we're actually thinking of like, I know a few agencies that help clients with tech. So they actually implement tech for their clients, which, whether that's cloud products and that. So I'm thinking of like some kind of partner program for people who want to set up Content Snare for their clients. But for now, we've kind of just got all these random accountants.
It sounds like you have a lot on the go. Is there anything that we should know or look out for in the future? Anything James centric that we should keep on our radar?
Good question. I like that. I'm going to focus on Content Snare because we want to grow this business and help as many people as possible. We're at like 800 customers at this point, and I think my goal was always 1,000. And it's kind of cool to close in on that, but then it's just going to be, I guess, 2,000 is probably going to be the next goal. Cool.
Well, where can people find you, James? Where's the best place to obviously get their hands on your product, but learn more about you and your podcast?
Awesome. So contentsnare.com is where the product is, _Jimmy Rose on Twitter, or agencyhighway.com is my podcast.
Cool. Well, thank you so much, James, for coming on.
Cheers to happy clients.